some blockbuster news as it looks like WWE may have just signed two of the hottest free agents in all of professional wrestling in the Motor City Machine Guns. All this while it was reported for the longest time that they were in talks with AEW and expected to go there. What happened? What changed? We're going to fill you in on everything you need to know about this situation. We're also going to talk about some major injury updates in All Elite Wrestling. They are getting one of their main event acts back, while another top talent is unfortunately going to go on the shelf for an undetermined amount of time. All that much more coming up right here in this video. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. So, let's go right into the news. The Motor City Machine Guns, one of the most prolific tag teams of the past 20 years, look like they are headed to WWE, and this could not come at a better time for the company, as we've had a couple of free agents really go in the direction of AEW. You've had Mercedes earlier this year, Kazuchika Okada. You had Will Ospreay also sign, Ricochet going in free agency. It seemed like WWE needed to get another free agent name in that arsenal for them. They, of course, have signed Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa and company, and are expected to also land Hikuleo. Add the Motor City Machine Guns to that list, because wow, oh, wow, this is an insane reality we're living in. For the longest time, the Motor City Machine Guns in WWE seemed like a pipe dream, right? It was something that a lot of fans wanted to see, especially back in the mid to late 2000s. There could have been a lot of great matches and great moments made with the Motor City Machine Guns, potentially rejuvenating that WWE tag team division, but it never happened. They never went to WWE. They never really went to AEW either. They have been kind of just around. Obviously, both of them have had singles runs in Impact Wrestling and outside of there as well. But for the past couple of years, ever since they reunited, the question was, were they going to get that shot to be major stars on major North American professional wrestling TV again? And of course, by that we mean on AEW or WWE TV. And if you go back to April in this year, it was reported by Bodyslam.net that the Motor City Machine Guns and AEW had engaged in talks, and all signs pointed towards them signing there. That never happened. We never really got an update from that specific situation until now, where Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer newsletter, said that the Motor City Machine Guns are expected to go to WWE. That is the expectation within the company at this point, and could not, like I said, come at a better time. One of the things that is honestly lacking in WWE is depth in the tag team division. They have two sets of tag team titles, but it really feels like they don't have any more than two sets of real tag teams in the entire company. And when people talk about tag team wrestling, I want to be clear, right? There's this propensity to say, well, you can put any two wrestlers together and they'd be a great tag team. Yes, of course, you can. But there is such a thing as creating a group of talent, creating a pair of talent, I should say, that are in themselves as a tag team major draws, right? And creating an act that like goes together. FTR is an example of this, right? FTR individually are still great wrestlers, but together they are main event level talent. And one thing that WWE has been really incapable of doing over the past few years is creating that level of excitement and that level of a pair in their tag team division. It has been very rare, even going back to pre-2018. So if we're like looking at this from like who really wins here, I think it's a win-win situation. WWE gets a main event level tag team, like genuinely. Like I think the Motor City Machine Guns, if they go to WWE, and like they should win the tag team belts right off the bat. Don't even have them like whatever the first pay-per-view is, SummerSlam, whatever. They should win the tag team titles and establish themselves as the top guys, pardon the pun, FTR, in that tag team division. That will help rejuvenate things because then you can start telling stories with pairs of wrestlers instead of just, well, I don't like this guy and you don't like this guy. We should have a tag team. It's like that is the stupidest and honestly laziest way to try to build tag team wrestling. And it's how WWE has been booking tag team wrestling for a couple of years now. They've not been prioritizing it. This is your opportunity, bringing in the Motor City Machine Guns to do just that. And you have these two guys who know each other and know tag team wrestling like the inside of their own hat, whatever the phrase is. You know what I'm trying to say. They know tag team wrestling better than anyone, honestly. And you get that level of talent in there, and it helps the locker room. They are going to learn so much from the Motor City Machine Guns. There's going to be a psychology aspect that I think is really going to be needed in that locker room. And that's not saying you don't have good tag teams. Like, you obviously have DIY and all that. But I'm talking about premier top-level tag teams. Look at AEW. Say what you want about the way they book the tag team championships. They still have a bunch of tag teams that are draws and stars as a pair. That is not necessarily the case in WWE at this time. I think it can change. I think it will change. I think this is a great step in doing that. But never thought I'd say this. Motor City Machine Guns look like they are headed to WWE. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this news as we move on to our next and final topics, AEW injury updates. We got some good news. We have some bad news. I'm going to go with the bad news so we can end on a good note here. Bad news is 2 AEW stars have suffered injuries. One of them we know more about. Dalton Castle was announced by Tony Khan will be out of action until 2025. He suffered an injury last week on Collision. That is very unfortunate. Of course, Dalton Castle, one of the most charismatic stars in ROH, and I thought he was going to do a lot of great stuff when he was coming up and doing these one-offs in AEW. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until 2025 to see him start feeding the boys again. Shout out to Dalton Castle. Get well soon. Also get well soon to a pretty big name, someone who's been built up quite well over the past year in AEW. Sky Blue, it looks like, suffered an injury on AEW Collision this week. She took a cross-body off the ropes to the outside and seems to have landed on her leg very, very painfully. The match was stopped in the middle of commercial break. Hikaru Shida was declared the winner in a very weird situation there. And we have seen some footage online that's circulating of her being helped off and really putting no pressure on her leg. It seems to be a leg injury. We don't know full details just yet, but regardless, hopefully Sky Blue is okay and it's not serious. And if it is, hopefully she gets back very soon. Shout out to Sky Blue. Shout out to Dalton Castle. But in a positive note, shout out to Dax Harwood because AEW is getting one of their main event tag teams, I was just talking about it, back in action. FTR came out on Collision this week and stated that they are back and they are chasing the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Dax Harwood just a little while ago, I believe over a month ago, released a video on social media talking about how he had suffered a back injury and it was something that he could not ignore. At first, he was hiding it from AEW management, but now he said, I need to take a step back. He was going to be out for an undeterminate amount of time. Well, looks like they determined it, and he's going to be back as soon as next week, wrestling as they look to start their road to All In, and they called out the Young Bucks. They want to wrestle the Young Bucks for the titles at the Wembley show. So all of that is really good, and it's really good for AEW's tag team division because at the end of the day, Young Bucks, FTR, like this is a match that we could honestly watch a million times and not get sick of, but it's always good to see the best tag teams or the best stars, honestly, on your TV show And it just seems like we're getting back to like where things were, right, with AEW. We have had all of these stars from Hangman Page to Britt Baker to Jamie Hayter and even Dax Harwood, as I mentioned, out for a long period of time, and they are getting them back slowly but surely. And this roster is looking more and more stacked by the day. This all comes as we're hearing rumblings of potentially Jamie Hayter coming back. This is happening as, we don't know when Kenny Omega is going to be back, but hopefully he will be back one day. And when he does, batten down the hatches because this roster is going to be insane. So shout out to Dax Harwood. Can't wait to see what he does coming up. And I can't wait to see y'all. Let me know what y'all think about this news in the comments section below. Do you want to see FTR versus the Young Bucks at All In Wembley Stadium? Or are you just sick of it already? Let me know in the comments. Also, be sure, if you haven't already done so, to smash that like button so as many people as possible see this video and support the channel. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released.